Welcome back, guys. This is VIN 1741. This is a 2016 1J7, which is atomic silver. That's the goldish looking silver with LA20 interior, black interior. It is for sale with 81,000 miles, $52,000 in California. It looks like, and it's on Auto Trader, it looks like it's been a California and Nevada car its whole life. And so, you know, desert car, you don't have to deal with the moisture, you don't have to deal with the winter climate, things like that. It's not in the high elevations of California. So this car, at first glance, it looks extremely clean, it looks stock. And I mean, it's really presents itself very well. And they're very high resolution pictures where you can zoom in close. Dealers take note. This is how you photograph a car. Just lots of photographs, lots of angles, high resolution so you can zoom in and check things out. That's what you need. And this is an individual, this is not a dealer that's selling this, so kudos to you if you're seeing this. Production statistics, as always, 328 out of the 2,348 cars were 1J7 atomic silver. 151 of those had LA20. So there's only 151 of these cars that exist in this combination. Specific for 2016, there's only 199 out of the 1,418 cars for the US 49 market. Out of those 199, 91 had LA20 or black interior. So this car is one of 91. I would say definitely more on the common side of combinations, but personally, my opinion, I think atomic silver is one of the best looking colors on these cars. It just shows all the angles just perfectly. It's such an amazing looking color, even though I own a molten pearl one. Carfax, Epic VIN, and AutoCheck. So Carfax shows this as a 4-owner, 0 accident car. Epic VIN shows this as a 3-owner, no accident car. And AutoCheck shows this as a 4-owner, no accident car. So I think it's safe to say this is probably a 4-owner, no accidents reported or damage reported car. Previous sales, June of 2017, $64,000 with 10,000 miles in the Bay Area, California. May of 24, $48,000 with 73,000 miles in Las Vegas, Nevada. And now in September of 2025, $52,000 with 81,000 miles in California, Inland Empire area. So definitely, as far as the price goes, it seems like it's spot on for where the market is. And you have to remember too, there's less than 1,000 of these cars left for the US 49 that are clean title, no accidents cars. So this is one of those cars. So out of the 2,400 or so, 2,348, there's less than 1,000 that are clean title, no accidents, which is kind of mind blowing when you think about it. But here we are, not even 10 years on, and there's only 1,000 left that are clean title, no accidents. So onto the pictures. As I said earlier, super high quality, great resolution photos, very clear, very showing you what you want to see. And so kudos to the seller for the fantastic photos. I can't say that enough because there's so many of these that have like 4 photos and they're terrible. So again, dealers take note, but kudos to you, seller. So looking at the photos, the front looks very clean, and it does look like it has paint protection film on it, even though the paint protection film, it does look like it's got some pits and chips on it, but hopefully the paint underneath is okay. But the reason I can tell it has paint protection film, if you look really close, because they are high quality photos, paint protection film, typically, it'll come very close to the edge of a panel, but it won't completely wrap around unless it's a full-on custom type of job. That just kind of tells you that it's basically a kit install where a plotter cuts it out and an installer can throw it on very quickly. So that looks like that's what's going on here. And that also kind of tells you, if you look at the carbon fiber piece on the front lip, it's not super chipped or delaminating with 81,000 miles. So it probably has paint protection film on it as well. The interior, it could use a really good detail. You know, it's kind of dirty in the photos. The leather is okay. It doesn't show signs of extreme wear or anything like that. But shiny leather is dirty leather. So from the factory, when these were new, they kind of have like a matte finish to the leather. These are shiny. Just could use a good, deep cleaning with leather cleaner and conditioner, things like that. And of course, a good vacuum detail. I'm not holding it against them for that. If it is a daily driver, something like that, but it presents very well. It just needs a detail. Tires, it looks like, I tried to zoom, the angle isn't quite right on those type of photos. It looks like it's got 2021 tire date codes on them. So you're talking about 4 years or so, 4 or 5 year old tires. Not a big deal, but lifespan wise, 7 years is kind of the max you want to get for tires. maybe it's getting towards the end of the life, so inspect the tires. And also, I don't see any carbon fiber trim issues. The carbon fiber delamination, usually a lot of these higher mile examples, this is not a high mile example, but just higher. Don't see any carbon fiber delamination, anything like that, so good to see there. But yeah, overall, first impression, very well presented, very clean looking car, especially considering it has 81,000 miles. Service history, this car I would call mostly Lexus dealer service, not completely, but that's okay. It's just glad to see that it has been serviced. And the seller also provides some of the receipts in the listing so you can see kind of where it was serviced, but it's like Lexus, 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 independent Lexus, you know, so it's good to see that that's done. On to the service history. February of 2017, blind spot monitoring system error, and they found damage to the left rear quarter panel, and they suggested to take it to the body shop. So there's unreported damage to this car that they tell you right here in the service history. It's not on the Carfax, not on the Epic VIN, not on the auto check, but there is unreported damage that has been done on this car. To the extent we don't know, it's not the original owner anymore, so it's going to be up to you to decide and inspect, but just from looking at the pictures, I don't see any concerns there, but I would definitely inspect that left rear corner, quarter panel, bumper, trunk, kind of that area. July of 2018, blind spot monitoring bracket is bent. They recalibrated it, but again, they recommended going to the body shop for this. So there's obviously something else that they've found that needs addressing. Again, in July of 2018, the JLB recall, that's the high pressure fuel pump recall, was done. And they noted that the passenger rear bumper was popping out. And so they pushed it back in. But the damage appears originally to be on the left rear. And now they're talking about the bumper popping out on the right rear. Maybe it was pushed on the left and it popped out on the right. Something like that. There's something going on here back in 2017, 2018. Again, in July of 2018, they removed the front bumper to replace a washer bottle bracket because it was vibrating and the lower grille piece was coming loose. Very common, I've talked about this in other videos. The two lower grille pieces on these cars, they fit very poorly. They don't fit extremely tight. Toyota/Lexus has never updated the part, so they continue to, if you replaced it, they still don't fit very well. And so I'm showing you here a video right now on my car, the way it is. And so you can barely touch them and they'll pop out. And so if it impacts anything or you go really fast, something like that, it can come loose. And so that's the case here. Pop it back in and it's done. October of 2018, they replaced 6 of the AC servos. So this one is definitely one that was affected by the servo issue. Replaced, the dash was pulled out for that and reprogrammed. So originally I thought there's only 5 servos, but I think there's 9 when I started looking at parts diagrams. But it seems like there's 5 of them that usually fail, but they replaced 6 of them. So one of the common issues, checked off and done. JLB recall, checked off and done. October of 2021, they replaced the passenger side seat track. That's not common, but I have seen it. It's usually the driver's side, but it was like binding up. Something maybe got caught in it or stripped or who knows, but that was replaced. December of 2021, again, back for the blind spot monitoring system. It said there were issues still, codes, but they declined the repair at that time. So it looks like they came back again later in December of 2021. They removed the rear bumper, adjusted the sensor, recalibrated everything, and said it's fixed now. But 1 month later, January 2022, again for blind spot monitoring issues, they recalibrated again, sent them on their way. A couple months later, June of 2022, back again for the blind spot monitoring issue, and they did a goodwill repair. It doesn't really go into detail. I don't think it says they replaced it. They removed the bumper again, recalibrated it, and who knows, question mark. And the last service, June of 24, at 76,000 miles, they had the transmission serviced. Good to see that done. Services that I haven't seen done, 60,000 mile service. So that's spark plugs, belts, hose, inspect everything. The TVD, the torque vectoring differential, getting the fluids changed there. None of that appears to have been done unless it's been done at a third-party mechanic. So make sure you ask the seller if he has any proof that any of that has been done. If not, you're going to be on the hook for $1,000+ for that type of service, or DIY for $500 or $600. So on that note, that also means that the carbon fiber trim on the interior is all original. So if you're going to take this car to a colder climate, fully expect to have the delamination start eventually. May not happen right away, but if you take it to a cold climate, it's probably going to happen a lot quicker. Several $1,000s there, or a couple $100s a piece if you want to get them refinished by that guy in Florida, SMA Fabrication, not a sponsor. Lower control arm bushings. Check the insides of the front tires for tire wear, and if you see anything there, lower control arm bushings, alignment, tires, that can add up pretty quick. Valley plate. Haven't seen anything about the valley plate being done. That can be a $2,000+ repair. So get a mechanical inspection. Do a pre-purchase inspection on this car. Plug a scanner in. Check for any stored codes. HVAC, it looks like it's already been serviced or sorted, but definitely look. Mechanical inspections are so important on these cars. And so check the valley plate, make sure it's inspected. The reason I say the scanner specifically with this car is because of those constant blind spot monitoring issues that they have. It'll be stored in the body control module or other computers that the car has. If you have a fancy scanner that can read those kind of codes, because if there is something that's stored, you can see since they've last recalibrated it and reset it in 2022. So it's been 3 years. So hopefully that issue is finally resolved and behind you, but that is something to take note of. So the only red flag that I really see with this car is that unreported damage from 2017, 2018, and that has nothing to do with the current owner, so they wouldn't know, what went on there. But obviously there is some kind of paint work or damage that has been done to the left rear of this car. So definitely, if you're doing a pre-purchase inspection, mechanical inspection, make note of that to whomever is doing that, and tell them to look at that left rear corner closely so they can look up underneath the bumper, things like that, just to see if there's any other damage that they see. You can pull the trim panel out in the trunk to see if there's any paint work there. It depends on how deep you want to go. So for this one at $52,000, 81,000 miles, it's pretty much right on for the market. And maybe just a hair high, but somewhere in that $48,000 to $52,000 range. So you can never go up on price, you can go down. And so I think that's probably what the seller's doing. But realistically, I think 48, 52, that's probably where the market is for this. And so this car is where it should be. It is a clean title, no accident car. So that unreported paint work, the unreported damage, I would call that a minor concern, especially because it happened so long ago. You're talking when this car had like a couple thousand miles. So whatever would have come up from it would have probably happened by now. And that's probably, you saw the bumper popped out on the opposite side. That's the kind of stuff that happens right after things like that. But you haven't seen anything since that except those blind spot monitoring issues with calibration. And I think what probably needs to happen with that is they just need to replace those sensors. And it's like a faulty sensor. They just kept recalibrating it, and never ultimately resolved the root issue. And so that's probably what went on here, but it looks like since 2022, it hasn't been an issue, or at least it hasn't been to Lexus for that issue. But yeah, I think I would definitely consider this car. I don't see any red flags other than that damage. So if you're interested in getting into the GSF market, this is definitely a good one that you can just hop in and drive. Just plan on in the future, you may have to spend a little money on it, but 100% do a mechanical inspection, get a pre-purchase inspection done, especially on the valley plate, things like that. Plug your scanner in, but I think this one definitely has the potential to be a good one. Go check it out. VIN 1741. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.